I will mention, I'm gonna run this one a little differently than normally we run it, because this is sort of a confusing item to me. Originally, it appered that occupancy permits were granted, but then ISD created a letter of refusal, which requires a zoning variance, seemingly changing their minds on that after the fact, after licenses were granted for takeout, and basically making it so that you have to go back and do the process again. So this is, to me, a fairly confused process. Now, we are, between our neighborhood association and several of the other large associations, Back Bay, Beacon Hill, South End, we're having a little bit of trouble sometimes with the process of, when does someone actually have to go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeal? How do you know that they have to go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeal? This is one situation where there appears to be some question as to whether or not there actually needs to be a trip in front of the Zoning Board of Appeal. We are going to treat this item as if there will need to be a trip in front of the Zoning Board of Appeal. But it will be interesting if we look back on this and see if, in fact, there wasn't any trip needed. That would give more evidence that I think what many of the other resident associations and ours are starting to feel, that there is really no clear process that delineates when someone needs to go with what, for what kind of relief. And that's one of the things that we as a residents association, in concert with other residents association and in concert with the Office of Neighborhood Services, really want to try to work together on to make sure that we know, and we have a sort of a lingua franca on when you need to go for an entertainment license. Like, Victor just mentioned, like what's going on with this entertainment license write-in over at Battery Wharf Hotel. I received the email too. It's very confusing, and I don't really know what's going on with licensing anymore. So there are a bunch of things that I think we need a little rectifying on. And I just want to make sure that all of our residents and business owners understand there are several speed bumps here that I see. I think actually the ZBA has been pretty good, and they've been pretty clear about what their entry process is. I think the licensing board has been far less clear, like how quick does the process have to run. When you're going for an upgrade from a beer and wine to a liquor license, what kind of neighborhood process? What is the assumption on getting in front of a group like this and having a vote? Very uneven right now on that particular body. ZBA has been better though, but this is one, the one we're going to talk about. This is one where I think it's been a little confusing, and I just want to note that for our friends who are watching us, and also note that I think there are some there is uncertainty as to whether or not the ZBA is actually going to hear this. With that said, I want to turn it over to George, and if Bill is here.
Bill is not here.
Okay, great. Well, that's terrific.
My name is George Mendoza. I'm one of the Mendoza brothers. There are three guys that own Monica's Mercato, Monica's Trattoria, and Monica's Vinoteca. I have some letters here of approval from the the Board of Appeals on the issue of takeout, the 56A, for the address mentioned, and that took place in April of 2015. And take them around and take a look at them so you can see that the permits were already granted, and that's why there's no way to find out whether the hearing is, because there isn't a hearing. There's no hearing because the permits were already granted. And since the permits have been granted, folks, 36As are no longer require an application. Something that Mayor Walsh changed with help of the commissioner, because most grocery stores sell foods that are prepared. They pay meals tax on the prepared foods, and those foods have to have the allocation of a 56A takeout license to do so. Okay? So we went ahead and applied for the takeout license. and the license was granted to us. It's added on to, our occupancy. And in the confusion, there's been some confusion with the 130 Mass Ave. They've been going through a lot of transitions for the better. One of the contractors reapplied for the same license. Therefore, I met with the commissioner. The commissioner explained to me that those applications were no longer needed, that the existing approval granted us the 56A that we needed, and that from the point forward, businesses like ours, we're going to have to apply for 56A, which is going to be granted with the occupancy. Okay? That took place at the counter at 130 Mass Ave, where the commissioner grabbed the paperwork from one side to the other one and said, it's done, and it's done. Maria Lanza, who's always grade A for anything neighborhood, took the time today to research it. I took the time today to research it. Bill Ferrullo took the time to research it. And there is no mention anywhere of a CBA hearing, okay, coming up. All right, so again, this is a very simple license, 56A. 7-Eleven has it, the other 7-Eleven has it, the Golden Goose has it, okay? Peach Coffee has it. The Thinking Cap probably has it also. Okay? Anybody now who opens up a grocery store in Boston will have it automatically. Because you will buy groceries, some of which are prepared. Potato salad, for example, is a prepared item. It requires a sales tax and it requires a takeout license. So that, with that said, we do have some abutters who are not satisfied with the issue, we are on a commercial district. 7th Street is a commercial district. All the first floors on 7th Street can become businesses. We've been in there for about 21 years now. And as you know, we don't just do groceries and look at the way like most stores do. We do groceries. We keep our streets clean. We keep our street flower. We are neighbors. We live in the neighborhood. We're not here just renting apartments and telling people that we are members of the community because we own a piece of land that we look after at rent time. We are here with you, living with you. I mean, most of you know me. I am your neighbor. And I am the neighbor that pitches in, helps out when my neighbors need help, whether it's school, whether the elderly, whether any of the issues that you have seen me be very boisterous about over my sitting at the neighborhood council, at the school governing board, and so forth and so forth. I think that what would be appropriate to rest, put this subject to rest, would be to take a vote on it and see if, Maria would vouch with me, there's no vote required because we're not going to a CBA hearing. Okay, there's not going to be a CBA hearing. But if the community wants to speak on the subject, you're welcome to. We are a grocery store. We facilitate groceries to those folks who live in the community, who don't want to get in a car and go to the nearest supermarket 15 minutes away in a car. Okay, and that's what we do. We do a good job of it. We make sandwiches, we make pizzas, we sell Italian groceries, we sell pasta, we sell cold cuts, risotto, and all those good things. We keep our corner clean, looking good. Okay, we're an example of how businesses should be run. And some members in the community, a very minute number of members in the community, don't seem to think so. They seem to think that they have greater rights than the rest of us, just because they own a piece of land and they rent to people. Their business, as absentee landlords, doesn't affect our businesses, doesn't affect our life. It doesn't affect the parties on the fire stairs, the drug dealers on the second floor with the AK-47, none of that stuff. All right, that's something that doesn't bother anybody else. But the rest of but what we do in our neighborhood, the place where we live in, where we live for years, it seems to bother these people. So what I'm asking you for simply is, first of all, for your support for something that I don't need because I already have it. We have it because it's granted to anybody who has a grocery store. We've been a grocery store for 22 years. We love serving the community. Okay, we gotta be among the few people who are not expanding, opening more restaurants. We are now bringing back the grocery stores of the past to our Italian-American neighborhood. We're opening in a retail space that has a granted occupancy for retail space, adjacent to the Richmond Street location. We're opening up a pasta shop. An Italian-American neighborhood, once again, is going to have a pasta shop. We're bringing it to you, okay? That Monica's Mercato Salem has been doing so for 22 years. In a neighborhood that loses retail businesses one a day, okay? Where we find sometimes that, for instance, I'm heartbroken about True. As everybody knows, I look a little rough today. I've been working in one of my sites. when I run out of screws, I will go see Kenny. I had an account with Kenny for 22 years that I've been in business, and I love being able to walk to one of my neighborhood businesses. My family, we support local businesses, we eat at local restaurants, we shop at our local boutiques, because we know if nobody supports them, nobody embraces them, we're going to have a lot of restaurants or a lot of empty spaces or more condominiums, you know, and we're going to be residents, not neighbors. We are neighbors first, you know, and as good neighbors, we provide our neighbors with a service. During snowstorms, rain, we flagged our employees around 2 years ago where there was no way to get to Boston, so we could serve those who couldn't go to the supermarket. All right, so again, I'm here to ask my neighbors for their support for something that I don't need, but to put a subject at rest. Okay, so I don't know, Ford, if you want to hold a vote, you want to talk to somebody else about it, we can expand on it, but we are here for something that I already have, folks. Okay?
Well, thank you for the presentation. I do want to say, the reason we have these votes is not to just have votes, but to reflect the city process. So if there is a zoning board of appeals hearing that is upcoming and they want to have neighborhood input, that's the reason we do this. Now, this is a situation where somehow ISD did generate a refusal letter. Refusal letter is usually what kicks off the process, because the refusal letter then goes to the zoning board of appeals telling them that a variance is needed because ISD has refused the permit without a variance, and that usually is a 100% barometer of the fact that it's going to go to the ZBA. In this case, and Victor, you may want to interrupt me if you think that I'm misstating this, but to me, what it's sounding like is there was a refusal letter generated, and then it was somehow rescinded, and it looked like it was generated after the fact. So that's what makes this very confusing.
May I interrupt real quick? Sure. If you look at the chronology, okay, the necessity for an application for a 56A changed after the fact. Therefore, there's no longer a need for a hearing for a 56A. So what happened is simple. The chronology of the events, we received a 56A. In the confusion, okay, between 1010 Mass Ave, my contract, or whatever, another application was put forward, okay, for something that we already had. Right. On top of the fact that soon after the application was put forward, the commissioner and the mayor who have been working on removing that the necessity to apply for a 56A, to have to go to a hearing for a 56A, and now there's no longer a need to go for a hearing for a 56A. So any application that prior to that was put forward, there's no need to go to a hearing. They're not going to hold a hearing for something that now they are granting automatically.
Right. Well, I want to hear from Victor first, before we go to anyone else.
Well, I don't know, I haven't seen anything official from the Board of Appeal regarding this appeal or any similar appeal. All I can say is there's a zoning code refusal letter issued by ISD November 4th of 2015, and the dates on the materials that were given to us are all prior to this, so that after this date, ISD issued a refusal letter saying that the purpose was change occupancy in lower level from dry storage to restaurant with takeout, parenthesis, legalize existing conditions of the lower level, hyphen, work to be performed. 1, reverse the swing on exterior door in Noyes Place, N-O-I-S-E, side of building. And 2, install fire door to lower level. So that's the purpose of the application, was to change occupancy in lower level from dry storage to restaurant. And then the violations were restaurant use is a conditional use, takeout restaurant is a conditional use, and floor area ratio is excessive. So based upon what I see, there is an outstanding refusal letter. And presumably an appeal.
When you research, when you want to look for the hearing date and all the information, what did you get to?
Excuse me?
Did you do any research on the computer with the ISD website?
No.
Okay, Maria, did you?
Yeah, so there's no hearing date for this case. Will not be at this time. I talked to ISD this afternoon. So they have relayed to me to the fact that there's no hearing date scheduled, and if something was filed more than 5 months ago, it would have had a hearing date by now, because they usually try to match up dates within a substantial amount of time. So if this was filed in November 2015, it more than likely would have had a hearing date by now, to my knowledge, from talking to ISD's back. That's what they told me.
So,
And there's no hearing date.
and Victor,
Or let me just weigh in on one more thing. As you know, the procedure being followed by the Board of Appeal now is that they don't assign hearing dates until the neighborhood process has...
But that came after this, like that new procedure came before, after this was filed in November 2015, the new procedure came in within the new year.
And again, folks, first of all, nobody wants to have a restaurant in the basement. There's no application for a restaurant in the basement. The 56A was reapplied, thinking we didn't have it. We did have it already, okay? And after the application was put forward, 56As are no longer require a CBA meeting. Those are the words out of the mouth of the commissioner in person. I had a meeting with him, okay? Plain and simple.
before we get to the members, I just want, the procedural stuff about how we're going to vote. I want to just ask Maria, so are you saying, based on your research, that there is no hearing date,
No.
and there's not going to be a hearing date?
Because they haven't filed an appeal
Yeah, there's no appeal, there's no
on the FAR.
application.
They haven't appealed the FAR.
And so,
So that a violation.
They received a violation of something that they had.
No, the FAR is also part of the violation in the violation letter, and they haven't appealed the FAR. They appealed the 36A.
That wasn't in my conversation. I could go back and chat with Forrest, but.
so you know, my suggestion is going to be, as I said, as we went into this, it's confusing as to whether or not we even need to do this. We put it on the agenda, and we had our ZLC meeting, because the assumption was there was something that needed to be voted on. We usually don't want to waste everyone's time to vote on something that we don't need to vote on, and I think Jorge has been, very clear and very
May I add also?
persuasive about that. But this may be a situation where, as you also suggested, we may want to just go through and do the vote.
But Ford, we recap, you look at your minutes from previous meetings, we came here before you,
Yes.
we had an abutters meeting,
Yes.
we went to both councils.
Right.
We've already voted on this topic, and we passed it to both councils.
And you
We got support from both councils.
You got
We got support from both councils, we had an abutters meeting, we had people show up, everybody who show up was in support, okay? We can do this 1,000 times, of course, at my expense, because I'm an offender, I own a business in a neighborhood, and I'm a neighbor.
Well, I want to just have a little bit more discussion on this because I was out of town for a little while, when I was monitoring things from afar, it seemed like there was a ZLC meeting. There was some question as to whether or not this needed to be voted on, but somehow it seemed like we were following the process and we were going to have a vote. And then only in the last 2 days, as Maria, as you did your research, George, as you sort of crystallized what you think happened here, and it really does appear that there doesn't need to be anything done. So I mean, this is a rather, so the only reason that we're even having this discussion is because it looks like something changed at the 11th hour on this. And ISD is, as George has said, has been in a little bit of an upheaval, and hopefully changes for the better. But this is it's sort of a troubling level of confusion here. I guess the question is, if we vote, what do we vote on? And I don't think that there really is any. We could have sort of a bit of a discussion on whether or not people feel that if there were a variance that needs to be applied for, how they feel about it. But really, I don't see what we vote on. Victor, I'll let you.
Well, just a question. I guess the question would be, has ISD rescinded the refusal letter and has a building permit been issued?
There's no building permit required. We're not building anything. I mean, there's nothing to build. There's 25 square feet of landing space downstairs with a counter where people pick up beverages, packaged foods, and pizza. And we have already been granted a permit. Not only have we been granted a permit, I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. I am not finished yet. Thank you. I'm speaking.
Talking all night.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm speaking. Can I finish? Okay, and we had these boat guys. We came in front of your association last winter, the winter of 2015, prior to getting granted the change of occupancy with the 56A, and we went in front of the neighborhood council. And Maria was there, and we had a big abutters meeting where we had about 25 people show up in support, nobody in opposition.
Where is the permit to operate a business out of Noyes Pl?
We have the permit, we have the permit, sir.
I don't
We
see
have
it.
the permit.
I don't see it
We have
on
the
this
permit to
document.
operate, it's here, it's clear as night, sir. You know, we have two parties in
It
the
says
neighborhood of Southgate.
130-130B Salem Street.
I'm not sure that that's what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking
There
about.
is,
Precisely.
Noise
space is a place to live.
I understand that, but
And I don't
They're
think
operating
so.
a business out of
if there is no zoning board of appeals hearing, and if there is going to be no zoning board of appeals hearing, there is nothing to vote on. And that's, I'm not, you know, we have a city,
George's got a great store.
we have a city official here who's done research.
Does it not say FAR violation?
But was the FAR in the original when they first came a year and a half ago?
No, that's why it's a violation today.
Are you a butters?
It's not a violation to us.
Or do we have
It's not a
people
violation
we
to us.
recognize as a lot?
Well, maybe we should hear from you.
We know a private way is
Just like
just.
that.
Can we please not have side conversations? If you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand, we'll identify you.
Yeah, so,
Can I speak?
yes.
Okay. My name is John Corey. I live at One Noyes Place. I own One Noyes Place and some other residents on Noyes Place here. I just wanted to be real quick. I used to live in the North End. I've owned the building for 15 years. I had elderly tenants in the building. I'm not really this bad guy that everybody thinks I am. But I just wanted to point out that last time the neighborhood resident voted, you voted for the 36A license, which is true, but the basement was not recognized by ISD. So what happened was that the vote was for the 36A license, which is fine. I mean, they run a great business, totally fine. But then when ISD realized that they expanded into the basement illegally, then they realized that the 36A license was only for the first floor facing Salem Street. It wasn't for the basement space. So then they had to go back in, and I have the thing here, and so if I read it to you, it says exactly, change occupancy in lower level from dry storage with takeout. So they're asking for the 36A license to go into the basement, which is a problem for us on Noyes Place because we face that door, and also that because they expanded into the basement, they intensified the use of the building. So now they have, it used to be the storage down there with like loading or whatever, like most businesses around the North End. Now they have a full-fledged takeout pizza shop with the plates and the napkins and the whole thing, and they have a steep set of staircase going in, the big billboard and the lights. And so there are many issues, but the one at hand that you would have to vote on for the city is whether or not you would allow a variance at the Board of Appeal to have them expand and intensify the use into the basement, and then have all those people and customers coming off into Noyes Place in front of our properties, and then coming through there with, and then they put chairs out there and everything. So I reserve the right to answer any questions if somebody has, but the fact is that the 36A license that folks voted for was for the first floor because the basement was in violation and the ISD didn't know about it. So then they came back in violation, it was violation 3, there's 4 here, but violation 3 was failure to secure a permit to change the occupancy basement for dry storage with a restaurant and takeout. So I just asked the residents to think about whether or not we want more, and I think they do a great job. I don't know why they can't just keep it on the first floor facing Salem Street. I don't know why we have to have more restaurants and more takeout, open, selling alcohol downstairs and everything, and it's just too much. And I hope the residents will think about it before they vote for it.
Wait, sorry, George, but from your January 8th, 2015 meeting agenda, it says Monica's Mercado, new pizzeria seeks a required conditional use relief for takeout and prepared foods and drink use. Monica's is in the neighborhood shopping district, where a small takeout restaurant is conditional use in the basement and first story.
That's
So
right.
you did vote in January, you did vote to.
No,
Well,
that's not true.
We didn't,
That's just the code, but that's not the vote
Yes,
here in
but
the
that's what
neighborhood.
they-
That was the vote, that was the vote, and that was what's
That's the code.
granted, and on top of it, folks, if you read the paperwork I gave you, it lists there, first floor and basement, okay? It does list to the paper, that's city paperwork, I didn't write this, I didn't type this.
That's the
okay?
violation,
Read it,
though.
read it over, no, read it over.
The violation.
Not the violation, sir, not the violation. The paperwork I passed around that says that the 56A was granted for the
Yeah.
first floor and
Just the first
basement.
floor.
The first
Didn't
floor
say
and
anything about
basement.
the basement.
I also attached a letter
The
from the
basement was
assistant
illegal at
commissioner.
this time. So how could we give approval to something that was illegal? I mean,
It says, who is illegal? You say it's illegal.
No.
Because you say
You
it's
have
illegal.
the review.
Because you don't like it. Across the street of the
I think
building
you
you
do a
don't
great
live
job there. I
in.
just
Because
hope
you
the
wanna,
residents-
you wanna have your opinion and let us know what you
we have
think.
to
Plain and simple.
we can't run it this way.
Enough.
But I need to go back to the first principles of our residents association, which is that we reflect the city process. If there is going to be a liquor licensing board vote, we go out of our way, and when they push us aside and don't take our input, we get very mad, and we push our way back in. We want to give input when there is going to be a vote. Certainly when there's a ZBA vote, and the zoning board of appeals has been actually exemplary compared to the liquor licensing board, in that the handshake has been very good. Here, every reading that I'm getting is that there is no zoning board of appeals hearing, and there is not going to be a zoning board of appeals hearing because there's no variance that's needed. And because of that, I'm uncomfortable saying we should have any sort of vote, because I don't think we're voting on anything. I want clarity as to whether or not there is, the ZBA believes a variance is needed. If the ZBA comes, so I think we need to go to the ZBA and say, is zoning relief needed here? If the answer is no, case closed. If the answer is yes, we take this up at a future meeting. But right now, I think Jorge has made a good case that, hey, there's been confusion at 1010. That's for sure. We've seen it before. And, they appear to have changed their mind and then changed it back again. I don't know what's going on. I want to know what's going on before we take a vote. So I'm going to, I don't know, as president, I can make a motion that we just don't do this vote. Yeah, seconded, and if we want to show of hands as
Move to
to.
defer.
Move to defer. Okay. So,
May I say one last word, please?
Yes.
Folks, please be aware that I will be coming back to see you, because this man is not gonna rest. He's not gonna rest until he finds more violations, more obscurity, more, there's two folks here, there's two single landlords in a neighborhood of 10,000. He's gonna come back again and again and again and again and again. All right? And again, and one more time and again, because that's all you've done. You're not a neighbor, you're not a neighbor.
On a more positive note, I hope.
You're not a neighbor, you're not a neighbor. Neighbors don't do that to their neighbors, okay? I raised my family and many other families from that business. I employ 85 people. You've been in a nuisance since you bought that property. Please, and clean your property, clean your sidewalks. You're a shame. You're not a neighbor. You're arrested. You're not a neighbor.
Hopefully we'll see you for a more positive thing for one of the
You're
other
not a
businesses.
neighbor, sir. Folks, that is not your neighbor. He's not your friend either,
I
okay?
think
I don't want to say what he is because it's a ladies here.
your point has been made.
Do we have a
And,
motion and a second?
we have a motion and a second to not vote on this and defer. Yes. Yes.
Thank you for that vote.
Okay, so we are going to defer this vote. Jason, you had your hand up a couple times. Do you want to make a closing
On the
statement?
deferral, can we get from Maria the exact, but if there is a violation, if there's not a violation,
I call ISD first thing.
That'd be great.
because we could defer at least, George.
I want
Just
to.
leave a for own speech and this
Right.
guy's gonna come.
I don't want to have this be an endless deferral. I'm happy to defer it just so that we leave the door open for, because if there is a need for a variance, and if the ZBA is going to hear this, I want to have a vote, absolutely.
Why did he say for a year and a half?
Pardon?
They're stalling.
Because if there's not a hearing, there's no point.
They're stalling.
The violation, she didn't say that she had to pay for the day. Yes. Somebody pays for something.
Well, yeah. What, yeah.
Noise place,
Yeah, I-
private property, our property.
I think.
We have rights on that property as well.
When this issue is deferred, we're going to move on to the next update item, which is the dog park. But, you know, I have a feeling we'll be coming back to this. So, thank you, Maria, for the research that you've done.
You gotta vote, you made a motion, you gotta vote on the motion.
Do you want to,
Robert's rule.
we're going to, Victor, I mean.
Yes, I suggest vote by show of hands.
Yeah, show of hands for deferral. If we want to do Robert's rules.
Hallelujah. I've been raising my hand for 15 minutes.
Okay, it's official.
No vote.
And he
No,
can't.
no, with,
May I add a request?
yes.
Maria, okay, from the board to be a more ISD, something like
Yes. Okay. All right, with that.